Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Yak Gadgets. For all your fine quality kayak fishing accessories, go to yakgadget.com. Pelican cases, cooler, and lighter. Go to pelican.com. And the 153 Bait Company. For all your hard and soft bait needs, go to the 153angler.com. Now let's join our special guest around the campfire. Welcome back to the Feather and Fur Podcast. I'm Brad Hurlbus, and today our guest is Kurt Belding with Western Obsessions TV, and we're going to bring him right on in.
Hey, Brad, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's awesome, man. I really, really appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, you bet, man. Of course. Should be fun.
I think it's going to be a good time. Yeah, I mean, I stumbled into you on like your YouTube channel, which, I mean, you got some awesome video content out there. I watched one of your, I think it was an elk hunt where you were trying to like backpack camp it the whole way.
That was my last year archery elk hunt where my pack is way too big, and I thought I would bring everything with me.
It was interesting to watch. I mean, like how you like, okay, this isn't working. And then you like change your tactics in the middle. And like it was a great video. And I'll be honest, I don't sit through most YouTube videos. Like I don't have attention deficit disorder, but if your video doesn't grab me, I'm out. Like that's just how I am. But I actually like to sit through an entire episode. Like that tells me like, all right, he's doing something right. Like that's awesome, man. Like your video was great.
Thanks, Brad. I know a lot of guys just kind of scrub forward to the kill shot and say,
sure.
Oh, they actually got an elk. All right, cool. But no, I have a production company also. So we really like to use some good cinematography, good storylines, tell a story of the hunt, tell exactly how it went. And you've probably saw in that episode, like, yep, overpacked, this sucks, it's heavy, a lot of deadfall. We got to do something different.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that terrain was gnarly. I mean, that was some gnarly terrain you were in. Like, it looked like a tornado went through there. There was so much crap laying on the ground.
Oh, man, it was rough, man. And like, you e-scout, and kind of a little backstory to that is I had a different plan. And then the day before I was supposed to go out with a buddy of mine, he said, I can't go. Sorry, we can't go. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going into an area that I've never been. I e-scouted real quick, had a trail picked out, but that trail ended up not being a trail. And we just kind of got stuck in the middle of deadfall. The hunt kind of turned into survival for about a day. We got to find water. Oh, man, it was good. But it turned out good, man. I shot a little raghorn bull, and it was a good hunt, man. It was fun.
It was a good video, man. And that means, like, how did you get started in hunting? I mean, because it takes a big step to go from hunting to film production to actually making a quality video, right? So, like, where'd your roots, like, how'd you get started? Like, was this a family tradition thing? Was it, like, late onset? You take it on when you were older?
I think like a lot of guys, I started hunting with my dad as a kid. So I grew up in the Midwest in Nebraska. So it was a lot of, like, whitetail hunting, turkey hunting, pheasant, quail, that type of tree stand hunting. I moved out to Colorado about 15 years ago, and I had a little I don't know, in my 20s where I didn't hunt very much. I hunted women. I chased women more than, than I did, hunting. And I had a career, and I played baseball in college. So I got busy, man, and picked hunting back up in my about 29, 30 years old. I had moved out to Colorado, and I started Western hunting for elk. And I tell you what, man, going from Midwest whitetail hunting to trying to hunt these mountains of Colorado for elk was tough. It was a tough transition, but I'm super passionate. I love hunting, man. I'm, like it says, like our hunting show, Western Obsessions, I'm absolutely obsessed with hunting. And I figured it out after, trial and error for a few years and learning as much as I could about the way to hunt in the Western side here in Colorado. I started to figure it out, and eventually I actually bought an outfitter. So I'm actually a guide also. So I do guided elk hunting, but I went on a hunt in 2019. I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur. I own a bunch of other little businesses. One of my businesses I own is a production company. So we create photo, video, design for my other businesses and other companies. And I went on a hunt in 2019 as an elk hunt. I drew a good tag. So I brought a video guy along with me. And we stumbled along and tried to film and tried to hunt. We actually were successful. I actually shot that bull right behind me. That's a
nice bull. I mean, that's
Thanks,
nice.
Man.
That's an awesome looking bull from here. I mean, and I'm not saying from here is like I can't see it from here. No, that's not what I mean. Like on camera, what I can see, man, that thing looks beastly.
Hey, he's not world record bull. He's good 320s, but he's got chocolate with those ivory tips. He's just a gorgeous bull. But I shot him on that hunt, and we tried to film it. We turned it into like a 3-part series, and I just loved the challenge of documenting my hunt to try to entertain other people with the hunt of exactly how the hunt went. And I fell in love with it. So a buddy of mine, he's now a buddy of mine, saw the hunts. I put it out on Facebook and YouTube, and he used to have a hunting show on the Sportsman's Channel, and he hit me up and said, "Hey, what are you doing with filming these hunts?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I'm just fucking around. just trying to have a good time.
I'm shooting a little video. I'm doing some editing, trying to make something work."
That's right, man. So he's like, "Hey, we should like get together and actually try to make this happen." So 2020 was our first full season of filming, and here we are 2021, and now I'm kind of doing it full time and doing some production for other hunting companies, and this is where we're at, man. Sorry, I'm long-winded. That's the whole thing in a nutshell.
No, man, it's good because I mean, like that's a lot. Like that's to take on a lot, right? I mean, multiple companies, and then to try to weave them into each other as well. I mean, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's a lot of management. It's a lot of time involved that takes away from your hunting too. Oh,
for sure, man. But that's who I am, man. Even if I had all the money in the world, man, I would still be like running 100 miles a minute with my hair on fire trying to balance companies. It's just who I am. I work, it's just instilled me to work super freaking hard. I'm very productive. Every minute of the day, I'm trying to be productive, and I want to have it any other way. I really enjoy it.
I get it, man. Like, it's work. I mean, a lot of people think, like, people that listen to podcasts or watch video, I mean, there's so much work after the fact that goes into it. But when you actually get the enjoyment out of it, like for me, like part of the podcast is I just like talking hunting, right? But like a big part of for me hunting is mentorship, which I've touched base on tons of times in other podcasts. And like, I get so much enjoyment out of that as well. Like if you get enjoyment out of it, it doesn't seem like much of a job. And I know people say that, but it really is the case.
It really is true, man. And kind of backing up a little bit, I'm 41. I'll be 42 in February. So here's what happened. I turned 40, and I call myself again a serial entrepreneur. So I've been an entrepreneur since forever. And I hit 40, and I was like, you know what? I think I had a little bit of midlife crisis. Instead of going buying the red convertible, I started a hunting show. So,
sure,
at that 40-year mark, I have a really good wife. Thank God I have a really cool, understanding wife, because now I'm gone all the time. I'm spending a ton of money on hunting, and
right.
That's my midlife crisis. Like, I want to do exactly what I want to do. I don't care about getting rich or making a ton of money, but I want to live my life the way I want to live it. And because this is basically my retirement, I'm just taking it early. When I hit 65, I can't go on mountain hunts after bull elk. And, I'm doing that now because I want to live my life the way I want to live it. I want to live it right now. So that's kind of how I started doing this. And I tell you what, it is a lot harder than what you think it might to film and actually try to put together a good show that's entertaining for somebody. Even just to get a good kill shot on film is like super hard, man. So like these solo hunters out there that are doing it all themselves, filming, hunting, my hat's off to those guys. I
mean, there's so much at play, right? I mean, the hide, angles, lighting, everything, like, especially when you're out in the mountains, right? I mean, that's a whole nother level of trying to make this happen. It's not like you and another guy are sitting in a tree stand waiting on the edge of a cornfield for a deer to come in. I mean, you guys are hiking and packing all this gear up the hill, up the mountain, and then breaking it down, taking what you need to shoot video of that day, hoping you don't leave something that you wish you would have, oh man, I wish I'd have brought that lens with, but I saved the 5 pounds, right?
That's right. Yeah, sometimes I got to pick, all right, do I want to bring my spotting scope or do I want to bring my camera? Because I can't have both. Yeah. Oh man. But it's the first season was a learning curve, man. I screwed up a lot. The episode you saw, we got a pretty good kill shot on good footage on that bull that we shot. But there's been times that I didn't get the kill shot or I screwed up some other shot. And
Sure.
it was super challenging. You know, I was on a rifle hunt where I was actually filming for a buddy, and I'm holding the camera on a monopod, and I didn't even think about it. And his wife actually was the shooter. She shot, and obviously, like, I shook, and I screwed up the kill shot because of the sound of the gun going off, and you shake. And so that was, you know, hey, rifle hunt, bring a tripod. You know, every little thing, it's just a learning experience. And this season, man, hopefully that's going to be even better.
How you start? Can you give us a little preview? How are you going to start the season off? Like, have you done any like crazy trips that you can like allude to?
I actually just got back from Africa, hunting plains game in Zimbabwe.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was that with COVID? Like, how was the travel experience there? Was it a mess or was it pretty solid?
You know, obviously I'm wearing a mask for like 20 some hours straight on airplanes, on flights. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. But in hindsight, here's the biggest thing I took away from that as far as travel. I tried to bring my own rifle because I had a scope sponsor that I really needed to use on that hunt to get footage and film. So bringing a weapon from country to country to country was very difficult.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, I probably won't try that again.
No, next time, maybe just bring the scope and some bore sighting stuff.
Yeah, I should have just done that. Yeah, but you know, and I just built a nice custom rifle, so I wanted to use my own rifle. And I don't know. In hindsight, dude, I'll never do that again. I'll bring my bow, but I won't bring a weapon. You know, it got stuck in South Africa in the airport. And I hope this is okay to talk about in podcast, but the police. Okay, you're good. All right. The police in the airport are super corrupt. So if you're ever travel to Africa to hunt, you go to Johannesburg, bring cash. They will not let have your rifle until you pay them cash to get it out. And I've heard that from every person that has gone to South Africa to hunt. And that was true for me. Guy pulled me off the side and said, nope, you're not getting your gun. If you got $150 cash, USD, we'll let you have it. And that's what I had to do to get it out. So,
that's crazy. Yeah. But I've heard that before, though, from other people that have been down there to like get like horns or antlers or mounts back. They're like, or like any like little trophy like that. They're like, nope, that's against rules. Can't take that. But $50 or $100 right now, I mean, I'm going to not see it.
Yeah, I'll look the other way for this bribe. But, you know, it is what it is. It's, you know, countries that aren't economically as strong as we are, and our U.S. dollar's a lot stronger. So I guess they got to do what they got to do to make ends meet. So I won't dog on them too much, I guess.
No, I get it. And that's a completely different culture, right? I mean, like that's how the way of life is down there. That's how things work. Like here, that's crazy to think about. Like, wow, I have to pay this cop. But that's how their culture is, and they might just do it more for travelers. I don't know. They might also do it to the locals for certain instances. I mean, that's that's part of the traveling experience, right? Is those new cultures and those like completely different and like cultural norms, because it's not a norm for us. It's like blows your mind. Like, did this just really happen? I try that back in the States. I'm the one going to jail.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's a completely different norm. And you don't know that norm, because that was my first trip to Africa. And I didn't know going in. I'm like, oh, all right, here we go. Hopefully it's just a gun and I'm not ended up kidnapped somewhere with my head about getting chopped off.
Right.
You know, but you know, I learned a lot of cool things hunting in Zimbabwe. Probably the coolest thing that I learned there was how important hunting is for the country, because that's one of the biggest revenue sources for them. Obviously, you know, as a hunter, you know, like conservation, hunters provide 99% of all conservation, but the money spent or the money given to that, because the country owns the animals, and a majority of that money that's spent on hunting in Zimbabwe goes to the government. The government takes that money for schools, infrastructure, you know, so it really helps the economy of Zimbabwe. And the meat, everything you kill in Zimbabwe is donated to the local villages so they can have food. And it's a very poor country. You know, we're driving around, going through local villages. We're looking at tent houses, dirt floors. Sometimes they'll have some kind of like strong structure like a brick, but no electricity, dirt floors, no running water, very poor. And they can't hunt. It's illegal for them to go hunt food. It's poaching, because they're not issued tags to do it. So as a hunter going into Zimbabwe, killing an animal, injecting money into the economy, injecting food for the local villages. I felt really good about what I was doing there.
Right. It's real easy. They're like the moral side of it, which I don't struggle with the moral side, but I know some people do, right? I mean, when you can actually see like the money where it went and where the food is going and that people are eating and everything works out, it's like, all right, this all makes sense. Like I'm actually like, it's not, I mean, yeah, it's like, cause you're going to hunt your, like this animal on your bucket list, right? So it's a little selfish, right? Cause you're making this trip for you, but like, it provides so much to other people too. It like takes that all away too at the same time.
Yeah, it eases that guilt of I'm spending a bunch of money to go to Africa to kill these things on my bucket list so I could take the trophy home and film it so I have cool episodes and cool heads on my wall. You know, like it takes that guilt away and say, oh, hey, I'm actually doing something really good for the country, for the community, by doing it also.
Right. I mean, it brings a whole nother aspect to it, which is probably something I don't know, maybe you didn't know that going in, but if you didn't, I mean, that's got to like completely change your mental game while you're there, right? Because you see all this and it's like, wow, like just eye opening.
Yeah. And going in, I knew the meat was going to be donated to the local villages. I didn't understand fully the level of poverty that I was walking into the local villages. And I didn't understand where all the money was going. I'm like, okay, well, I'm paying an outfitter or a professional hunter, some guides, some trackers. I'm sure they're making good money on this, but they're really not. It's a lot of that money's going to the government. And from what I hear, and I hope it's true, a lot of that money then is pumped back into school systems, infrastructure for the economy. So knowing that all now, like I'd go back again and again if I could afford it and do that,
So you brought your custody of the new rifle. Did you also bring a bow too? Did you bring two or did you?
Yeah. So I brought the rifle, I brought the bow, and the bow's typically not a big deal to travel with. It just, cause it's not classified really as a weapon. So it goes through security pretty quick, pretty easy. Sure. But Zimbabwe just passed a law because there's been a lot of poachers using bows to hunt animals poaching because there's no sound, right? So they just passed a law that you needed a license to be able to hunt with a bow in the country. Didn't know that. Show up at the airport. They said, where's your license? I don't have a license. They say, well, your bow's staying in the airport. So I just paid a storage fee and it stayed at the airport my whole hunt. And I enjoy bow hunting. I do enjoy that more than I do rifle hunting because it's an extra challenge. But the hunting was actually pretty tough. It's real hunting. There's no fences anywhere in Zimbabwe. Everything's super free range, very wild. And I was very impressed with the hunter and the trackers that were a part of my team. Like those guys are legit, man. They were really good at what they do.
I've heard that before. I've never been there. I have talked to other people that have, and all of them say the same thing. Like the trackers are like night and day, like compared to what we see around here or compared to like what they've ever done. Like the trackers out there are no joke.
They're pretty amazing. And I pride myself on being a good tracker. Sure. I can tell animals and sex and usually what day they may have come through. But these guys are seeing tracks that I can't even see with my naked eye, staring right down on the ground and telling me exactly what time they came through 2 days ago. And, they're just amazing, man. I was really blown away by their level of like expert hunting and tracking. It was really nice to watch those guys work.
I guess it's probably like any other profession, right? Like that's what they do. They're a tracker. They're not out there trying to hunt. They're not out there prepping their hunts, scouting their areas, finding like all of that. Like their job is they track. Like that's what they do. And I mean, I guess if you focus on one item long enough, you're going to be an expert.
Yeah, that's very true. And the trackers lived in the area we were hunting. So they were very familiar with the land and they understood the patterns of the animals and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, they're still pretty badass though.
So this was a plains hunt. So what was the species then? Like, what were you looking for? Like, what were you chasing?
Yeah. The top of my list was a sable. I really wanted to be able to harvest a sable, kudu. Those are the two. And impala are pretty cool. I like the impala. So that was really what I was after. And in Zimbabwe, you could hunt elephant, giraffe, lions, leopards, cheetahs. You name it, man, you can hunt it. And we saw all those animals except for like the predators. We saw a ton of elephant. We saw a ton of giraffe, zebra. My interest is more in the plains game. I'm just drawn to that more.
You like those spirally horns is what that's it, isn't it?
Man, that kudu's a cool animal, man. Big spiral horn. And they're not the size of an elk. You know, they're big animals.
Oh, I didn't realize they were that big. Like that's
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so the sable and kudu are bigger animals, man. They're definitely a lot bigger than a deer. About almost the size of an elk. And just cool animal. They're very smart animal, very they call the kudu a gray ghost because they blend really well into the vegetation. And it was legit hunting. You know, we worked really hard to do it. A lot of hiking, a lot of driving too to spot animals. So and for me, man, I would much rather if you showed me a kudu, 100 yards away, said, okay, go kill that one. Or there's one a mile away. I gravitate to the one a mile away, man. For some reason, that's just more sweet of a hunt for me. Like I have to earn that animal. If I don't feel like I've earned it, it's just not as sweet for me. I don't know.
I get it.
I'm just crazy.
I get it. I know what you're. I mean, because it's all part of the experience, and that's at least I know. I chase an experience. To me, it's not about limits. It's not about necessarily even taking an animal. It's the experience. It's and yes, taking an animal just adds more to the experience. But I've had some phenomenal hunts where I walked away empty-handed, but like the experience I took away from it made everything worth it.
Man, you hit it right on the head there, dude. You're right. It's the experience. It's not the kill. Again, that's the icing on the cake, but it's the experience. It's the challenge of that hunt that really makes that hunt.
Absolutely. So you got your kudu then?
So I shot a kudu on the third day.
All right.
I shot an impala on the fourth, and I shot a sable on the last day. So it was the last hunt, the last day we made that one happen. So, and I'm super. Even if I wanted to shot the sable, man, I was super happy with the experience, super happy with the hunt. The team was awesome. From the PH, the professional hunter, the trackers, the outfitter, I call him. The cook was amazing. We stayed in these little huts with straw roofs, so it was nothing fancy. But the cook was cooking on an open flame a lot of time. But that guy could cook some food, man. So we had some kudu, we had some impala. I wasn't able to eat any sable because we shot on the last day, but it was definitely it was like one of those once in a lifetime experiences for sure.
That's awesome. So is it like a spot and stalk type deal? Like I know you said you're using cars, you're using like a lot of hiking. So was that kind of familiar to you, like with hunting the mountains, like with the spot and stalk and trying to find these animals?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what, most of my hunting is spot and stalk. So it's real familiar. Spot the animals from a ways off, come up with a game plan on how to get close, follow the wind, use the wind, super quiet. And it's funny, I had a camera guy come with me. It's just a good friend of mine. And he has a heavy foot. And I've tried to teach him over the last year of like, okay, hey, here's how you walk quietly so they don't hear you. And he forgets and he gets heavy footed, and the PH stopped. It turned around to him and said, quiet feet. He's finally getting fed up with his heavy foot and had to stop and teach him how to walk with quiet feet, so
that's awesome.
But yeah, man, it is all spot and stalk, which is super challenging hunting. And that's how I like it, and I'll whitetail hunt. I'll tree stand hunt. I'll sit on water holes. I'm not too good for that, but I enjoy a good spot stalk hunt.
And if that's like what you prefer to hunt too. So for that to be the experience just makes that whole hunt sweeter for you, right? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the guide wants you to do or anything. You're going to follow the guide, right? If he's like, we're going to sit on this water hole, you're going to listen to his advice. Because if you go against it, what's the point, right? Because you're just setting yourself up for failure. But when you and that guy or that professional hunter are on the same page where it's like, we're going to spot and stalk, it's like, all right, now this is my cup of tea. Let's do this. And you can get real behind it then. And you have the energy and the enthusiasm, we're going out. We're gonna go spot. We're gonna stalk them. This is my deal.
Yeah, and and I versed the hunter and the outfitter. They know what type of hunter I am. They know I hunt really hard, so they could put me through whatever they want to put me through. We can go wherever we want to go, and I'm good. And it was, what's really cool is I'm coming from the States. The PH, my professional hunter, he's the one that's leading the hunting, right?
Right.
Born and raised, grew up in Zimbabwe. We're countries apart, but we speak the same language, which is hunting. We spot an animal, and he come up with a game plan together, And everything is the exact same language. This is how we're going to spot stock. This is how we're going to keep the wind in our favor. We get within an X amount of yards. Here's how we're going to go super quiet, super slow, still hunt. Like, it's exact same language from country to country, which I thought was super cool.
That's awesome, because it shows like even though the animals are changing, like the basic tactics stay the same, right? I mean, you adapt those tactics to each individual hunt and the terrain, but at the end of the day, them core principles, they're all over the world.
That's right. And like, even if he spoke English, but even if he didn't speak English, we could communicate through hunting language.
Sure.
Which would be super cool.
That's awesome. So how, like, coming back to the States then, like, was it more challenges, like, to get out of the country? Like, do you have your mount? Like, how does all that, like, are you bringing mounts home? Are they getting shipped? Like, how's that work? Like,
hopefully they make it home. So, there's a process, man. You got to use a certain, like, kind of third-party country for shipping, and then they're getting shipped to my taxidermist. But I don't know, man. We'll see. I might have to pay a couple more bribes to get my heads home. I don't know. But
so I guess that was my other question. Does the taxidermist back here do it, or so the heads come here frozen then, or are they already done over there and they're shipping completed heads?
Yeah, man. Good question. So here's what happens. We take the animal to the skinning house. It's a local village. Everyone uses this little hut to skin their animals. So they skinned out. And then the guys that are skinning are awesome. They do a great job. Like, if I'm skinning that animal, I'm leaving like 5 pounds of meat still in the hide just because I'm in a hurry and, like, what I mean? You're in the field usually and you're just going. These guys not a single like ounce of meat on the hide. So it gets skinned and then it gets taken over where they start to salt the hide and cure the hide already. So that was a cool kind of a process to see how they do that, in the bush right there.
Sure.
That's how they've done it for years. So from there, then it gets transported, because then it's already cured. It gets transported to this company that's then shipping to my taxidermist. But I have a good relationship with my taxidermist. I wanted him to do it. You can do it there locally in the country. I don't know the prices. It might be a little more expensive, might be cheaper. I don't know, but I just chose to do it this way. So
makes sense. I mean, support your local guy that you've used forever. I mean, you get a relationship with them. I mean, you have a couple of things mounted. You start to get a relationship with that guy. You start talking hunting more, everything else. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I get it completely. A mount is a lot. I mean, not price wise, but to you, like the value of it, because that's when you look at that, it reminds you everything about that hunt. Like it brings you back right away. So you're going to want to use someone you trust. At least I do. I mean, I want to use someone that I trust to do my work, because I want that, like, that's how, like, when I'm old and I can't do this anymore and I'm sitting on the couch sipping on a bourbon or something, and I look up at that one mount, and I want it to take me right back. I don't want it to be deteriorated and just like, oh man, that sucks,
Yeah. And you're right, man. Like, the purpose of the mount, I mean, obviously there's a little bit of bragging rights here. Over your house, but like, let's be honest about that. But it's really to preserve that memory. So you walk into your room where you have your heads or whatever, and like you look at a certain mount, and you're like, you could remember that exact hunt down to the details. And maybe that was with a family member, maybe it was your dad, maybe it was your grandpa, that you're preserving those memories with, that you can go right back there. So it's important, man. And it's not just for bragging rights. I don't have just a bunch of dead animals hanging on my wall. It's preserving the memories. And what's cool about what I do is, like, now all those memories are filmed and documented. So not only do I get to see the head, I can go back and see the episode and remember all those details of that hunt and everything that happened. Yeah.
That's a whole nother level, right? I mean, like, my wife journals. I can't get into it. I'm not good enough a writer to sit there, but like, she journals all of our camping trips and like all the adventures we do all summer long, so I can have fall to myself, right? Because she doesn't hunt. So we do a bunch of camping and stuff in winter, and she journals all that. And she's got a journal from her grandpa of all the trips he did, and she'll read through it. And that's why she started this. Like, it's kind of the same way with the video, right? Next generation looking at this video, they're like, that's awesome.
And that's right, man. That's actually one of the big reasons I did, is like, if I don't make it, and if I don't become, my career, if I can't make money enough to make this career, I'll still do it, just for the fact of, one, I can see it. But my grandkids can look up my hunt and say, that was my great grandpa. And that's him hunting a, sable in Africa, or an elk in Colorado, or they can actually know me based upon that episode or that hunt.
And like in the video I watched, I mean, it's real easy to see your personality too. Like you can see your passion from it and everything else. And as you watch more videos, right, you get to learn more and more about a person just because you see their traits. Like you don't really know them, but you know them, right? Yeah. So I mean, like your great grandkids are gonna be able to watch like your videos and be like, I really understand who he was now. Which that's awesome. Like that's so cool.
Which was never a possibility in the past. You know, there was no there. You'd be lucky to have your great grandpa picture, rather than a video that you get to see personality, or you get to see maybe who this guy might have been. And Brad, man, I'm going to challenge. If you don't do this now, and when you go hunting, bring a GoPro with you. If it's just for you or just for your grandkids, film yourself and document everything that happens at hunt, down to like, oh my God, I'm so cold and wet. This is miserable. I hate hunting. Why do I hunt? To, you know, the frustrations of blowing a stock or whatever it is, man. Just I would journal on your GoPro. I think that would be super cool.
I am going to try it this year. I don't have a GoPro. I did pick up a pair of fish eyes though. The Tacticam fish eyes.
Yeah.
So I am going to do it this year, especially. I got two things in mind for duck hunting, especially like some different camera angles, like shooting back at me through the decoys and some other cool stuff. And then like upland hunting too, because they offer a shoulder mount. So I'm going to try to run one on the dog and run on my shoulder for some cool grouse and woodcock footage. My editing skills are terrible, so that's where I'm really going to have to learn some stuff. But we'll figure it out. But you are right though, and I think about it. All I do is like these minute-long clips for like Instagram and that. I don't document it. I just shoot like hero shots, hero videos. I tell the cool like 15-second reels, 30-second reels, or minute-long clips. But that is something I wanted to try to do this year, is actually like document the hunt and like even maybe shoot some B-roll and like try to put something halfway decent together at least once, to appreciate how much work also goes into it for you guys, like when you're really doing it at that level.
Yeah, man. And like you kind of said, is like that video you watched grabbed you. And I really hope that I'm correct on my thought process of, it's cool to see a hunt and to see a kill shot and see what animals got taken, but I really enjoy seeing a real hunt. And what I mean by that is like, I want to see the struggle. I want to see you like screw up. I want to see like you fall in a river or something. Now you're all wet. Like that's really enjoyable to me to see. Well, I'm not the only one that makes those bonehead mistakes. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
It's just more that the storyline, it's just more sweet to watch. I think it's just more valuable. Even if you don't kill something, man, I'd love to see what that hunt was all about and why you didn't kill it and what mistakes you made. And that's just super cool to watch and follow along, I think.
And I agree, because I had a duck hunt last year where I took a guy out for his first ever duck hunt. Like I said, I mentioned I do a lot of mentoring. So he wanted to come back out, and I scouted this marsh, and there was ducks everywhere. And I'm like, all right, we're going to get back into a spot that I guarantee you no one's ever going to try to push back into. And we pushed this canoe through this little tiny channel through the cattails, which I had already scouted in spring. So I knew it opened up into this little pothole. I'm like, this is going to be awesome, because I know none of the guys with like the bigger mud boats, I have one, you can't get it in there. Yeah. And there was ducks. And we had two ducks drop in real early in the morning, like right at shooting time. And they scooted off. I'm like, nah, man, this is solid. This is going to be a hunt. And we watched thousands of birds all day long come nowhere near us.
Oh no.
And that would have been one of the ones to like document, where it's like, and they wouldn't want anything to do with that marsh at all. Like they'd come by there, they'd go high, they'd skirt it. You could just tell it had just been over pressured, and I was still too close to it. I was still too close to that like known pressure area. And like that had been one to document, where it's just like when everything's right, you scout it and you thought you had it, and the morning looks so great when you got ducks landing in the decoys like right before shooting time, and they're gone. And then like you're constantly seeing birds and nothing comes by you. Like just that legit frustration. And the paddle back was into like this ridiculous headwind, and the water was way low. So at times I was out of the canoe, like pushing it through muck, like kind of sitting on it, like a paddle board almost, with him in the front. And I'm like, to record that now and look back, like it had just been like one of those hunts where people are like, all right, that's the suck.
That's the suck, man. That's right, dude. And that's hunting. That's hunting, man. Like it's not this Hollywood thing where you're going to kill some Pope and Young thing every time you go out. That's not realistic. That's not how it works. Like that, what you just went through, that's real hunting. It was like,
right.
I was on a hunt last year. I got stuck with my truck, and we spent almost an entire day trying to get my truck out of the snow, and like we filmed it. Now, hey, that's hunting, man.
Right. It's part of that adapting and overcoming. Like the hunt, like every hunt is different. Like I've never had 2 hunts be the same. I don't think you can, because there's always some other challenge. The weather's different, or even if it's not that day's weather, the week before was different. So it's muddy, or there's snow, or there's ice still. I mean, there's always some new challenge every time you hit the field,
which makes it so exciting to want to go out and do it again, because it's never the same. You may have a plan where you think, okay, like you did, I think this hunt is going to be like this.
Right.
That rarely happens. Whatever plan you think you have in your head of how that hunt's going to go down, it's not going to happen that way.
Agreed. And it's the hunts you have like no confidence in. Like opening day for deer hunting 2 years ago, I got out real early, and I knew my father-in-law and my 2 nieces were going to be coming out, and they were going to come out later. And they like to sleep in. That's fine. I don't care. My father-in-law's older. It's his land. I mean, go ahead, sleep in, right? It doesn't bother me at all, because if I don't shoot a deer, I don't care. Do I want to? Yeah. I'm out there just to sit back, and like that's my time where I slow down in a tree stand, because I'm from Wisconsin and we tree stand hunt. Yeah. And 8 minutes after shooting light, I had that guy right there come walking down the slope of the hill, stop 60 yards away. I'm like, I call up my father-in-law. I'm like, so you guys here yet? They're like, yeah, we're just getting in. I'm like, all right, you're gonna hear me on the ATV because I'm pulling one out. They're like, what?
Yeah.
But that was super cool, because that's actually my first experience filming, because I got that kill shot on film with a GoPro just mounted to the gun bar, like the bar of the, and that, like, all right, that's cool. So later on, I actually filmed and tried to roll it together, and I haven't released it at all because it's my niece, and it was her first year hunting. So like when we went out that afternoon, like I filmed her like as best I could, like with my vision of like all of it. And we actually had a monster walk out. Like, and you can see, like I got her in a different camera angle, like just shaking, because I had the GoPro facing back at her. And then I'm with my other camera, like zoomed in, and my editing's terrible, but I gave it to her and she's like, this is awesome. And because she's 15, I've never put it out there publicly, right? Because I respect her at that age. But I mean, like, it's so cool. Like and it's cool because she's got her great grandma's 35 Rem for a rifle.
Oh, that's cool, man. All right, I got a story for you too.
So you see her holding this old 35 Rem, just shaking. And it's awesome. It's just that's awesome.
Yeah. I took my daughter on her first whitetail hunt last year.
Okay.
And my uncle had passed away a couple of years prior to that, and he handed me down his old 243. And I have memories of this old 243 from me as a kid, like 5, 6 years old, of him shooting a couple deer with it, going hunting with him. So I have his 243. We're taking her out on her first hunt, and she ends up shooting this about 140-inch whitetail, which is bigger than the whitetail that I shot that year. And I filmed it all. It's on it's an episode on the Western Obsessions TV's YouTube channel, and filmed it all, filmed her excitement, and she got to do it with my uncle's 243. It was a very cool experience. I know he was looking down, man, just grinning ear to ear, you know?
Oh yeah. And that's one you don't forget. Cause I mean, it's her first hunt. So it's not traditions for her yet. I mean, this is her first time, but to have that rifle and all the traditions with that rifle, and like that nostalgia and that history, and like to bring it all together, especially in her first hunt, that's awesome. Like that's
it was
she'll never forget that. You can't. That's imprinted in your memory forever.
And I think I was way more excited than what she was. She was super excited, but I was like a little girl. I was screaming. And, you know,
I know exactly that thought, because we were out like last year. My niece actually, she wanted to wait for a buck. She didn't want to shoot a doe. We had does in front of her, and that's all. I mean, if that's what, I mean, it's her hunt, right? I mean, if you don't want to shoot a doe, you don't have to shoot a doe. If you want to wait for a 130 class buck, if you want to shoot a spike, it's your hunt. I'm going to support her with whatever she wants to do for her hunt. And she was sitting by herself, and I was in my tree stand, and she's like, oh, here comes a deer. I'm like, all right, take a breath. I'm like, put your phone down and focus. Like, just take your breath, right? And she texted me after, because she's texting me because she's on the other side of this ridge, and I hear the shot, and I wait a few, and she goes, I got it. I'm like, awesome. I'm like, just stay put. Don't go and track it. She goes, I don't need to. It's right here. I'm like, what do you mean it's right here? I mean, it dropped in its tracks 20 yards away. Like, it just dropped.
Oh,
I'm like,
awesome.
I'm like, that's awesome. But then those emotions hit. Those emotions we all experience. I still experience with everyone. And she's like, I'm sad. I'm like, it's part of it. Like these creatures are gorgeous. They're amazing. Every time I take one, I make that excitement of that initial excitement absolutely gets replaced with a little bit of guilt for me. I mean, it's normal. And like to walk her through those emotions until I could get over there, because I waited a little bit because I didn't want the thing to jump up, right? So I'm like, just relax, take it all in, take some breaths, and to like walk her through those emotions and then get there and like see the smile. Like when it finally all settled down and blended in and melded together, like then it was real.
Yeah, I mean, and you got the adrenaline's running, and
right,
and you're right, like that. You're so excited, and then you just killed something, and that remorse and that sadness comes over, and like there's a ton of emotions that happen. And the thing that I really focus on after taking an animal is I make sure 100% I use that entire animal. Like I make sure either I eat all the meat or I give it to friends and they eat all the meat. And that's just a really big deal for me because of that emotion right there of like, I just took that animal's life. Now, out of respect for that animal, I'm gonna make sure every piece of that animal is used and taken care of.
100%. I agree. And I'm the same way. I mean, I got to make sure. I mean, I might even be a little more over the top than some. 3 years ago, I lost a really nice buck with my bow and I jumped a shot. I don't know if it made it. And I don't know if it did it, but I hung up my bow for the year. Like, I'm like, all right, that was my buck. Like I screwed this up. There was enough blood where I don't know what happened to that animal. I'm like, I can't take another one. And I had people like, it happens. It's part of art. I'm like, I get that, but I respect the animal so much. Like, I couldn't go back out and like get out of my head that I already took my buck this year because I didn't find it. Like I couldn't and I know I did it legally. I don't have to tag that deer or anything. Right. But personally, like my morals, and this is me, I'm not talking for anybody else, and whatever you choose to do, it's your hunt, it's your tag. There's no law that says you have to do this. But for me, I couldn't go shoot another animal because I think I might have mortally wounded that one and I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't take another one because to me, I used my tag. That was my shot. And that's part of like you say when hunts fall apart, right? Like I screwed it up. I rushed the shot.
Yep. Yeah, man, I agree with you 100%. And I've done that too, is where I screwed up the shot. And that's why we work so hard. We shoot so many times and to make sure when we have that moment that our chances of having a good shot on that animal are very high, but we still screw up. And like I respect that a lot, man. That's your animal. And when I guide hunters also, that's how I do it. It's like if you hit an animal, you draw blood, that's your animal. I'm sorry if you don't think it's fair, but we're not out here just wounding a bunch of animals. That's your animal. If we can't find it, I'm sorry. I'll do everything I can do to find that animal. And I'm taking a couple guys hunting this year that's never gone, and I've went out shooting with them, and I let them know straight up, you're not ready to shoot. You need to keep shooting. If you can't feel confident, I need you to be 90% kill shots from 20 to 50 yards. If you can't do that, I'm not letting you pull the trigger. West with a bow. So I'm not letting you pull the trigger. You can come along, but you're not hunting. You're not shooting anything. So they're out there shooting again.
Well, no, I get it because like I look back and I screwed it up because it was the best buck I had on trail camera that year, and it came right in hot on a doe. The doe never saw me. But the buck did the whole time. But that doe was hot. So the doe would walk, he'd be watching me, and then he'd put his head down and follow the doe. And the doe just came right up the trail. And then when I tried to get the bow up, he spun right when I released. Like I should have been more patient. I shouldn't have tried to rush it because I knew he was watching me. Like I really shouldn't even have shot. Like I should have just it's not right. It's not good enough. Like, yeah, the doe hasn't seen me yet. That's the only reason this buck is still here, right? And I rushed the shot thinking this is my only opportunity when I don't know that. Like I had that deer pattern. Like unless that doe took him to another county, which can happen, right? We don't know. Who knows when the heat comes, right? When the rut's in full swing. But odds are they'd have been back there this afternoon when she was walking back the other way. So that was that's where I'm like 100% on me. Like I screwed that one up.
Yeah. Well, get excited when we make mistakes. That's part of running.
And that was the first time I'd ever experienced a buck watching me in a tree stand the whole time and just following a doe. Oh, what is okay, like this is fine. Like this isn't fine. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, oh, this is the buck I want to shoot. I'm like, yeah. So I learned that lesson, but it's a lesson that I had to learn because you're not going to learn some of those unless you're in the situation, right? And you have that experience.
You know, it's funny, like every species on the planet gets real dumb when we get horny.
Yeah, he knew.
He's like, I know there's a hunter there, but there's this hot doe, man, and I am not leaving her.
Right. Like I don't know how she didn't see me. Like she never saw me. He never even alerted her. She just didn't. She just kept her head down and kept grazing all the way up this trail. I'm like, okay, you must be the dumbest doe ever. Well, I'm looking forward to next season, though. I am.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got anything crazy? I mean, I'm sure. I mean, you got to have big plans with the film crew, right? I mean, you got to have one of them. You got to have something planned that's just like, this is something unique.
Well, and I do. That's a funny thing you said that, but I have a bunch of hunts I'm going on. I drew a Arizona elk tag, which that should be a good one. Got some tags here in Colorado, but I'm doing probably the dumbest hunt I'll ever do in my life. We'll be starting September 2nd here in Colorado. And so just a little back story on this is I'm big into fitness. I'm a very kind of a fitness freak. I'm a CrossFit gym. So and let me go back even further than that. So 2 years ago, I guided two guys. One was 69, the other guy was 72. And it was an archery elk hunt. And I was a little nervous about it because of their age. But those guys kicked the mountain's butt. I mean, they were all over it. They were super in shape, and they just did awesome. And that made a big impression on my mind, because in my mind, I'm like, oh, how many years do I got left to hunt the way I want to hunt? So, at some point, I'm going to have to slow down. But, like, if these guys are doing this at 70 years old, man, like, I want to be like these guys. So I've always been into fitness a lot, but I really ramped up fitness. I own a CrossFit gym, so I do a lot of CrossFit. And I got sponsored by this brand called 10,000. They're a men's athletic apparel company. They do these really cool things with their athletes called Feet of Strengths. And what it is, just some crazy ass fitness thing that they have their athletes do. That's just out there. Like the last Feet of Strength was a guy ran 100 miles around Central Park in New York. I'm pretty sure if it wasn't nonstop, it was like within a short time period, like within a day or two of running that. So just crazy stuff. Another guy went to like Alaska to spend a certain amount of minutes under the ice in Alaska swimming, like just crazy fitness feats of strength is what they call them. So they asked me if I wanted to do one, and I'm their only hunter fitness guy on their staff or on their sponsorship. And I was like, sure. What do you guys want me to do? And they're like, how about you do a 100-mile ruck in the mountains, no food or water, and get 100 miles in 4 days? I'm like, man, that is absolutely insane. That is absolutely stupid. I'm in. Let's do it. So, but I did push him a little bit. I was like, listen, guys, this is just going to be a hiking video. If I got to do 100 miles in 4 days, that's all I'm going to be doing is hiking, because it's not like I'm on trails. I'm not on a road. I'm in heavy timber going over 13,000 foot mountains. Like, I can't move fast. I'm like, give me like 5-6 days. So they're like, okay, cool. You have up to 6 days to get 100 miles in, no food or water, living on the land. I'll have an elk tag in my pocket. I'll be able to hunt small game, grouse, stuff like that. So again, whoever's watching and listening to this podcast, if you're going out on an elk hunt, do not do this. This is the dumbest way to elk hunt that you can do. Ideally, I would sit up high on a glassing knob, and I'd glass for hours in the morning, glass for hours in the evening, find the elk, come up with a game plan, put it on spot and stock. I would not be hiking all day long, hoping to bump into elk. Very dumb. But, as I hit the midlife crisis of 40, I'm like, if I don't do something stupid and crazy now, when am I going to do it? So I'm going to do it. I've been training. I've been doing a lot of running, a lot of CrossFit, getting myself in shape to make that 100 miles, because that's going to be miserable. It'll be filmed. I'll have my camera crew there. They're having their camera crew film it. So it'll be put out on our channels, their channels. I have some other sponsors that will be involved in that. And it's going to be, I don't know. It's going to go one way or the other. Either super cool or super lame. I don't know which way it's going to go. I
mean, 6 days in the mountain, you can have everything from hot to cold to snow to rain. I mean, like, I'm thinking like trying to pack the gear. I'm assuming this is archery, right?
Yeah. archery.
So are you gonna like all your small game? Are you gonna just bring extra archery arrows? Are you gonna bring extra small game tips for that and run your archery bow? Yeah. So I mean, now you're talking extra arrows. You're talking enough clothing for it all.
Yeah.
Water filtration. I mean, that's gonna be the only option there if you can't bring water. Are you allowed to, I'm assuming you're allowed to carry water though, right?
Yeah, if I wanted to, after I filter the water, I'm not allowed to bring it from the trailhead or from my truck in the trailhead up to where I'm hunting. I have to find the water on the mountain, which is fine. That's what I do anyway. I don't ever pack up water. It's too heavy. So I always filter water on the mountain, and I'll carry water along with me. But I mean, I've never done 100 miles. Like 10 miles a day is pretty common for me to do. I can do 10 miles, but you're talking, almost 20 miles a day without food, without carbohydrates, without fats, without your fuel. Who knows what's going to happen day 3 or 4? Like I might be a zombie. I may fall off a cliff. I don't know what's going to happen.
The only nice, it is going to be in a safe environment though, because you're going to have multiple film crews with you, and they're not doing this hunt. They're there to document.
They're eating.
They're eating. They're going to have food. If like on day 4, you're like, I don't have enough glucose left in me or sugar left in me to even move anymore. Like safety is going to come first, right? But the mental game there is because obviously you're very mental determined. Like you can tell, like just talking to you and like with your training, it's going to take to the point of like, they are probably going to have to be like, we're done. Like you can't push any harder.
Yeah. They'll have to pull me off the mountain. Like, just hunting in general is mentally challenging. The roller coaster of hunting, you see animals, you get in animals, you get a high, or you blow something, they run, like you got the lows of like wanting to quit, and just hunting in general is a mental challenge. To do that with having to hike so many miles with no food, it's definitely going to multiply that by 100. So hopefully you don't see me break down and crying about not being able to find elk. I don't know.
That you're not going to have good shelter, right? You're going to have to pack life to put. I'm a
bivvy. I won't even have a tent. I'm just sleeping on the ground in a bivvy. Yeah.
Right. So you're talking paracord and a tarp basically at that point. So you're not going to be that comfortable sleeping. You're not going to get a good night's rest probably, unless you can find a whole bunch of pine boughs you can stack up to lay on and make a cot or something one night, right?
Yeah, that's right, man.
And you're going to have to constantly, not only you're going to have to focus the whole time you're out there on trying to find elk, you're also going to have to focus on finding food.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding food. So it's going to be just and I know you watch some of these shows like Alone. Have you seen Alone, Brad?
I have.
Yeah. Super cool show, man. Like they're surviving with just minimal stuff. But the catch is they're not hiking 20 miles a day. And they're going much longer times without food. Right. But to expend that many calories without bringing any calories in is making me a little nervous. My training, I'm actually having a surplus of calories. So I'm actually 10 pounds heavier than I normally am, thinking that maybe that's a little energy storage for me, a little bit of body fat. But on the flip side, that's 10 pounds more I got to haul my ass around the mountain.
Right. So you got to balance. You got to balance those extra reserves you're packing on compared to the muscle it's going to take to haul them around.
Yeah, and I'll have a sat phone with me, so in case anything goes bad, we can get some help. But man, it's going to be interesting to see. So we'll do that the first week of September for 6 days, and we'll see what happens. I probably won't have the episode out for probably 60 to 90 days. So, but I'll put some stuff up on my Instagram, kind of alluding to what happened to the hunt and stuff like that. So
some good teasers.
Some teasers, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which might be me crying on a rock about not being able to eat. I don't know.
So you mentioned grouse. I know there's grouse up in the mountains. What about squirrels, rabbits? Do you have all the various small game up there that you can kind of focus on, or is that pretty slim pickings when you get what type of elevation are you starting at? I guess.
I'm not 100% sure where I'll start, with the trailhead, but we'll definitely be above tree line most of the time. So we're looking to be above 12,000 feet.
Okay.
Most of the time. And that's just a little easier hiking. So if I stay down low, I got to deal with deadfall. I got to deal with heavy forest. That's pretty rough hiking. So my plan is to stay above tree line and move as much as I can that way. Glass down in valleys for elk, or at the tree line for elk. But yeah, as far as small game, it's funny. And here's how I expect this to happen. When I'm out hunting, I see grouse everywhere. There's always grouse, right? And they're dumb little birds that don't fly right away, and you can almost catch them with your hands. And I guarantee you on this hunt, I probably won't see one grouse, or if I do, they'll be 100 miles away. Like it'll probably be more challenging than what it normally is. But as far as what I can eat, yeah, any small game, and I've been researching this. So, types of grouse, types of squirrels, those type of small game. I've done some research on berries and mushrooms and plants. Sure. But to be honest with you, I just don't feel that confident and comfortable eating that. All it takes is one wrong berry, right? Identify wrong, and then my hunt's over, game over, right? So
right.
I'm going to stay away from the berries and mushrooms and plants and just stay with small game and water. And ideally, here's how I'd love for this hunt to go down. Day 1, I'm hiking to find elk. Day 2, I'm in elk. I shoot a bull, and I spend the rest of the 100 miles hiking the bull off the mountain. That's how I'd like it. And if I got to carry some out in my stomach, I'll do it. Right. So
right. Yeah. Constantly just refueling with some fresh elk meat. And then you pack 15 miles one way, 15 miles back that way. There's 30. Now we're a third of the way there.
Yeah, that's right, man. And myself, it would take me probably 5 trips to get the elk off the mountain. So yeah, if I'm 15 miles out, that should be close to 100 miles right there.
Well, there you go. That's an easy plan. That it's easy, right? That's just how it's going to
be. That's how I'd like to go down, but you know how that goes, man.
Right. Well, see, now if you keep focusing on like trying to figure out the berries and the mushrooms and the plants, so you have a backup in case the squirrel or the grouse aren't there, then it will go that way because you spent all this energy trying to prepare for it not to work that way.
Right.
Now, if you don't do any of that, then you know for sure like you're not finding elk and you're going to starve.
Right. Exactly.
No, man, that's going to be a super fun episode to watch because that's going to be grueling. Grueling. I don't know how else to put it.
I'm sure there's going to be some drama in there. I joke around and I joke about it, but there's a lot of truth to it. Like hunting with me, there's always a moment where it's like, oh shit, our life is on the line right now. Like this is real dangerous. What's going on? Like, how did we get in this situation? Like I joke around about it, but there's some truth to it. Like like that archery elk hunt, like we got to find water. We don't have any water. We're stuck in deadfalls and we suck. I went on a mule deer hunt where we got stuck. We were going to have to call call someone to come pick us up, and we're out in the middle of nowhere with no cell service. We're going to sleep in the truck for the night. Like there's always some element of danger when I'm hunting. So I don't know why it happens. It just happens that way. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of drama on this side.
Well, you're really upping the ante on the danger level with this one.
I know.
But I mean, it's going to be super cool. I mean, because not only that, but 10,000 is going to be filming this, right? So it's going to bring this hunt and these experiences to a whole group of audiences that probably has never seen something like this and has witnessed the emotions and like that. It's like a lot of people have a preconceived notion of what hunting is, especially people that don't agree with hunting because they don't know what it is. They just think we're killing animals for fun. And it's not like that at all. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there that do, right? But like most of the hunters I know have one of the best moral compasses I've ever seen.
Right.
And like we have so much respect for the game. So like to bring this out through a fitness side that they probably never would have watched an episode like this ever. But they're like, all right, it's got to be extreme. So I'm going to watch it just because it's extreme because that's all they do is this extreme hunt, right? And then for that to open up that, I mean, you don't like that could like completely open up like to a bunch of people like, I want to try to hunt elk on a mountain. Like, what have I got to do this? I mean, with hunters' numbers constantly falling, like this could open up a completely new avenue.
Right. Yeah. And you're spot on with that because you're right. It could open up a whole new demographic and respect for hunting. And most of the hunters that I see actually respect animals more than the non-hunters, the people on the other side of the fence, right? Like that are advocating to not have hunting. And what people don't understand is hunters contribute almost all the contribution to conservation, to conserving that animal's way of life, conserving the land for the animals. They just don't understand that. And I get it. They just have, not versed with it or a little naive to it. But yeah, maybe I can break some fitness into the fitness barrier a little bit and show people what elk hunting is about on kind of an extreme side. And, as hunting numbers are going down, I do see a population of hunting that's increasing, and it's archery elk hunters. New archery elk hunters are expanding dramatically, and it might be some of those guys like Cam Hanes, Joe Rogan. Those guys are in. Everybody watches that. They think it's super cool watching these guys do it. And but I see there's a lot of new hunters out there. I get messages all the time from new hunters asking questions and what they should be doing or not doing. So it's really cool to see that. And there's a big influx of women hunters in the industry too, which is very cool to see.
I will agree with that. I've actually had quite a few women on my show. Like at one point I was going every other. I don't know how that worked out, but I've met a few through DSG is a big women's hunting clothing, and it's out of Madison here. It's Middleton technically. And I know a person that worked there, and I met a bunch of these phenomenal women that are just more passionate than I even am about hunting, and like how they're breaking into the industry and like really opening up light to it. And like, they're finally starting to get some gear that's actually built for them rather than them trying to use like youth gear or small men. Like they're actually like, it's being designed. It's awesome to see that. Like it's great. And the hunting industry needed it. It really did.
Yeah, it really did, man. It needed a different demographic than the, 45-year-old white guy with a big belly, right? Like the Bubba's, like the old school videos that you used to see. But, with the fitness side coming to archery hunting, be pretty fit to do it. To the women starting to join, like it's an exciting time, I think. It's exciting to see the new demographics coming in. It's exciting to see the new ways to present hunting with the type of filming like we're doing, like showing the actual hunt, how it's working with some good B-roll cinematography and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, it's definitely my passion, and I hope that I can make this a career, and I hope I get to do exactly what I want to do until I'm 80. That's the plan.
Right. Until you can hang it up and be like, and then you look around and then you start remembering all those hunts, right? And at that point, now you've mentored your daughters and your grandkids most likely, right? And now you're going to be itching like to get that phone call from them, because now you're going to be living their hunts through them, right? It's going to be like, oh, did you get on a film? Like did you do like? And then that's going to be a whole different excitement and level of anticipation, which would be awesome.
So yeah, absolutely. And I don't know what I'm going to be like when I'm 70, 80 years old, but if I'm in the same mental mindset that I am now, I'm super obsessed with hunting. If I had to pick a way to go out, and I tell my wife this, like when I die, just put me out in the mountain, let the bears and mountain lions eat me, and just distribute me to the mountain, man. That's where I want to go. So I can see myself trying to hunt till I'm 80 years old, and me trying to go up with my grandkids, and they're saying, Grandpa, maybe you should set this one out.
We're going to push this one. We're going in pretty far. Let's pick a different one for you. But then again, you just said you guided someone that was 72 last year and they owned the mountain.
Owned it, man. They kicked the mountain's butt. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Man, but I'm going to give the next few minutes up to you. The show has been awesome, but I want everybody to know how to get in touch with you. Like, your YouTube channel, your media groups, Instagram, shout it all out. Shout out your sponsors. Lay it on us, man.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. All right, man. Yeah, you guys can see our episodes at Western Obsessions TV on YouTube. We should be having a first season on Amazon Prime after this season of filming. You could follow me on my Instagram channel, which is Western Obsessions TV, Kurt Belding. My production company is White Rabbit Syndicate. We do a lot of photo, video. We're doing a lot of websites for hunting companies right now, because it seems that hunting companies just don't update a website and updated content. So we're doing a lot of that, and I'm trading out a lot of hunt for that too. So I'll build out a website if they take me on a hunt. So if you're out there and you want to take me on a hunt, man, I'll build your website, right? So
that's a trade right there. I mean, that's great. Yeah. I mean, that's great for everyone involved. They get a new website. Plus, they're going to be on your video, because if they're guiding you on this hunt, right? I mean, it's awesome. That's a hell of a trade-off.
Yeah, man. And that's kind of my philosophy, man. Like, even with my sponsors, which I'll shout them out, like, I always want to give more than what I get. That's just the type of person I am. That's how I like to do business. So sponsor right now is 10,000. They sponsor me with all my men's fitness apparel. And then we have Hanwag is my boot sponsor. ReadyWise is my freeze-dried food sponsor. And Horse is our scope sponsor. So hoping to pick up a couple more after this season.
Absolutely. But Hold on, but we didn't even touch on this. Like you just dropped a bombshell. Amazon Prime, huh? Amazon Prime's picking up your show.
Yeah, man. So we have enough episodes, but I want to see if we can get some more quality episodes out because, you know, I mean, I'm kind of a perfectionist. If I'm going to do something and be the first perception for somebody, I want to have a very good perception. I want to have good quality film, good B-roll, good storylines. And it doesn't mean I have to kill something, but it just has to be a good storyline to the episode. So after this season, you know, I'll probably have the Africa stuff on there. This 100-mile ruck survival hunt will probably be on there, and maybe a couple more from this season. Then we'll be on Amazon Prime. So give me 12 months to get everything up on there from the date of this podcast, and search for us on Amazon Prime at Western Obsessions TV.
That's awesome, man. That's huge. I mean, that's just drive and ambition showing that there's like payoff at the end is what it is. Because I mean, to take it from YouTube to Amazon Prime, like that's a huge step. That's a big step.
Yeah, man, it's a big step. And like you said, it's just, you know, this is my passion, man. What I want to do. If I want to look back when I'm 80 years old, and if maybe I don't make it doing this, but I want to say I gave it everything I've got to make this happen. And I'm trying my hardest to entertain anybody that watches shows. And that's number one, man. Like, I don't care if I go out and kill 300 plus elk or 200-inch whitetail. Like, I want to entertain someone and show them exactly how that hunt went down.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I seriously appreciate you being on. Like, it's been a super fun, energetic episode, and it's always great, like, to talk hunting with someone, like, when you're on the same page. Like, it's just easy to talk about, right?
That's right. Yeah. This is just a universal language, man.
And that's exactly it, like you said. So I thanks for being on, Kurt. I seriously appreciate it. And
you bet, Brad.
I'm gonna keep an eye on your YouTube channel because I really see some awesome things to come. Like just seeing what it's been already, man. It's gonna be good. Like it's awesome.
Thanks, Brad. Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on here, man, and good luck to you and this season you got coming up. And hopefully you actually make the correct kill shot on this next year that you pull the trigger on, right?
I hope so. I'll be bird focused this year. I have a wired hair pointing griffon. I do a lot of grouse hunting, woodcock hunting, and she's 9 turning 10 in February. So, but those years are getting limited with her. She's past her prime. So I'll spend most of my fall as much as her body will allow chasing birds with her to get her last couple good seasons in before we go back to really focusing on deer when I go dogless for a little bit when it happens. So
that'll be a sad day, man. My heart goes out to you.
Oh, I've been there. It is no fun. Yeah. Not a great. So I guess we'll end the episode on that sad note. I seriously appreciate you on, and to all my listeners, as always, I can't thank you enough for tuning in. Highly appreciated. I love all you guys. Thanks again.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com.